Hello and welcome to this video where I will go through a few tips and tricks if you want to become a Linux administrator or if you want to work in the IT field um, where the requirement is that you need to know Linux. This would be a video for you that explains a little bit about what you should expect and what kind of tools and stuff you need to know before you go into an interview or going to work on a Linux environment. So without further ado, let's go through a few things. So a few tools that you need to know is Dig or either of these top three um, tools, Dig, NSLOOKUP, or Host. They basically do the exact same thing. So you could choose, but it's important to know Dig at least. That's a Dig and NSLOOKUP. Those are two huge. What should I say? Two huge um, name lookup tools. So you can look up name servers, and yeah, that's kind of important. All of these tools, what they have in common is troubleshooting. So when you work in the Linux environment, you need to troubleshoot. That's what a Linux administrator does. Um, Usually, you will go in and troubleshoot something. So a little bit about me before we go jump into the Linux box and uh, and look at these tools. I've been working in the IT field for about almost 6 years now. I started out on the floor as a support consultant, or I think they called it something like um, su- system support engineer, something fancy. That basically it was a fancy title for a pretty shitty position, to be honest, if I'm gonna be frank. But I was just starting out, and I was working with end customers or end users, um, and I was helping them with all kinds of things like why don't their email clients didn't work, why some company's software didn't respond, or why the laptop didn't have internet access. You name it, it was everything. It was all kinds of things. But all of this was pretty much low level stuff. I later uh, got a new position. Uh, I switched multiple positions. I've been a little bit into networking, and now I have jumped into systems consulting, which is basically a lot of backend stuff. We are not in, I don't work in house, but I work with a lot of different tech companies which need backend support. So I'm directly working with all of their servers, none of the end client stuff. So only servers, Linux servers, mostly Red Hat Linux, or I think we have some. There are also some Fedora, I believe, actually. But mostly it's Red Hat Linux, which is aimed for the enterprise industry. So I have to take a little bit of water. So basically, I work um, as you can say kind of a server or back server administrator on both Linux and Windows, but we're going to talk about Linux in this video and a few tips and tricks and what you should know before you go to job interview that requires you to know a little bit about Linux. Most places don't really expect you to know everything, and you shouldn't tell anyone that you know everything because that's a really, really bad sign if anyone tells you that they know everything about something in the IT field, because that is literally not true. There's the IT field is always changing. There's always new technology. There's impossible for a human to know everything that's going on in the IT field or in a specific area. Of course, you can be really, really proficient and good at some systems, but you still don't know everything, and that's the fact. Um, I can make a video about what you should know, what you should say, at least, and what you shouldn't say. Uh, I think I will make a video like that for people looking to get into the IT field, but that will be another video. So, um, what we're gonna let's jump into the Linux box here quickly. Okay, so I am running a virtual VM on VMware Workstation Pro 16. And this is Kali Linux, which is just pen testing distro aimed for pen testers. It doesn't matter what kind of Linux box you have. You can have Fedora, you can have Ubuntu, but I would maybe uh, download CentOS and just get my feel around how it is to work in an enterprise environment, because this is, I think it's Debian based if I'm not wrong. So yeah, this is pretty much a different environment. So I don't think Yum is no. So we we don't use DNF or Yum, but Red Hat Linux, which is the enterprise side of stuff, use Yum or now DNF. That is a package manager that takes over for Yum, basically. Um, so yeah, get yourself familiar with those things right there. Okay, so let's jump into some of the tools you should know, because a little note on why you should know these tools is you don't know you don't need to know everything. You need to know how to troubleshoot. You need to know how to navigate uh, through Linux and how to use Linux. So if you don't know how to use Linux or have never used Linux before, I would highly recommend you to either watch some other YouTube videos um, about. There's plenty on YouTube who teaches you the basics of Linux. So yeah, go ahead and watch some of those. Get familiar with different Linux distros and what it's all about, and then dive deeper into Linux administration and what you should know, which is this video basically. Um, Dig. So Dig is basically the same as NSLOOKUP and and uh, host. So all of these three tools they basically tells you what the naming servers or the DNS server is for um, a target host or server or whatever. So yeah, it's nice to know because a lot of the time, if there is any network issues, DNS is often a huge part of the problem. So let's say that you can reach your naming servers, but you cannot reach um, the domain name. Or if you can reach, let's say, okay, we're gonna go. So, but we're actually gonna go take that when we go to ping. So let's jump to ping. It's a good time to jump to that now. For those who, most people know what ping is and what it does. A short explanation is the game ping pong. You send the ping, and the opposite player sends a pong, just a reply. So so you can ping, let's say Google. Oh, come. I would say just C1 is just count how many times you want to send it. If you don't define that, it will just keep going. Like we can just like this, and you have to control C. So what it does, it sends a ping and checks. Basically, the protocol ICMP is a ping protocol, and it just checks for replies. Um, so that's a good way to test for any connections or if the host is up and alive. Um, when it comes to troubleshooting, which is 99% of your work as an backend or systems administrator, you will troubleshoot because um, if something goes down, if you get an error alarm, you will basically have to understand what is going on and try to figure out where the uh, issue is lying. So let's say your network has trouble reaching out to a site. You then use ping to, let's say you can't reach google.com, right? And but you can reach, if you say dig, google.com has let's see, this is the root servers. Okay, so these are, okay, so these are the DNS servers. So let's say you can reach Google's DNS server, right? But you cannot reach google.com. So you the comment and it doesn't respond, right? Already there, um, it's a big problem, right? Because you know you can reach the IP address, and if you ping an IP address, you can get ICMP response. But some proxies or load balancers don't allow for IP, and because of the load balancing, you can't reach the site unless you type in the naming server, the DNS. Uh, so now you pinpointed that it is a DNS problem because you can get a response from the server, but you can't access it, right? Um, from the domain name service. So yeah, that's why ping is a good tool. And let's jump to the next tool, which is Nmap slash nping. Nmap is a huge tool. Let's just do this. As you can see, it's a lot of things going on here, right? Um, I wouldn't say Nmap is a good tool to test too much. You can test ports with it. That's probably the one thing that it's good at. But most likely, if you have Nmap, you also have something called nping. Oh, uh, that's wrong. So nping, it's not that huge, and it's a lot easier to test with packets. Um, so here you can craft a lot of different packets. You sometimes, let's say you can't, let's say you can't ping with ICMP because the firewall has blocked it. Or you want to test the TLS handshake for a server in a port. Nping is good that way because you can say nping and let's say we want to have TCP. I think we need to run this in sudo mode. Nping TCP and let's say google.com. And yeah, the same here. If you do count one, it does it just sends one packet. And you can see here we have received a TCP connection um, from Google or sent to Google, and here we have received to our host on a random port from port 80. So it uses port 80 as TCP. And you can, I think you can also test for a port. If you say port 443, and you can see here we sent over TLS or SSL 443, and we also get received an answer. Um, you can see time to live and different the sequence number and different information. So this is good. Received one, lost zero. So you can bypass the ICMP by using this tool. A good tool to test different connections and ports. Traceroute is the next on the list you should know. Um, Tracert or Traceroute. Let's see, Traceroute, google.com. What it does, it traces the route from, I think, pseudo. It traces the route from from the Linux box or computer you're using to the host. And you can see all the different hops in between and how many hops there are until we reach the destination. Um, okay, so this is kind of weird. Let's trace route. We did it. Um, yeah. Oh, double A. Let's see if Yahoo has any different. Okay, so there's a lot of hops between. Let's just do something here. Mm. Oh, okay. So this is uh, 2 seconds. Let me just fix this. Search MTR. What I'm doing right now is typing the wrong things. I think enter tiny. That's what I want. What it is my Traceroute. Basically, it's a program. Okay, MTR Google.com. Waiting for reply. I just wanted to test why I didn't really get any replies on the jumps between. Is there something strange going on? So it looks like there's 13 jumps until I get to one of the servers here, the end server, which responds to google.com. Um, so yeah, but anyway, there's a lot of tools for these things, but Traceroute is one of them to see if, let's see, your host isn't responding down the line. You can just run a traceroute from the server, Linux or RHEL server that um, doesn't get response, and see where does it stop. And if you know the uh, end host, you can see like, okay, on jump 3, 4, 2, or if it doesn't go outside 1, it's local. So you can kind of see where in the network the error resides. So let's jump to the next thing on the list. Next thing is journal CTL and system CTL. The majority of time you are um, or what you're gonna do as an Linux administrator comes down to troubleshooting. So when your customer, or if it's your company that has a Linux server, that usually means the server does something. That's why you have servers. It serves something to either the end users or another system. That most likely it is web based, maybe a HTTPD server, maybe some um, Linux or RHEL system running, like monitoring, or you name it. It could be anything. Um, you as an Linux administrator should be able to troubleshoot if any problems would reside. And the way you troubleshoot a service or something running on the Linux server is usually by checking if the service is up. So let's see. Um, do I have? Let's just check systemctl for. Okay, SSH service. So let's see if the say the service SSH doesn't run, or you can't log on to SSH. The first thing you would check is the service. So in Linux, if you want to see if a program is running, you want to check for the service. So the service is basically um, basically shows if the program is running. You could also use something called PS. Um, PS is basically basically as it says here, it's a snapshot of the current process. So it checks if the process is running or you name it. There's a lot of things to go through if you want to learn about PS. But something you want to use a lot, and you're going to use a lot in the troubleshooting side of things is PS. I always use aux. If you want to know what it is, go through the manual and just see. But you basically get most of the information you want from aux. So here you can see I just pulled out a snapshot of all the services or the processes running on the server right now. So this is a little bit messy. There's several ways to do this. I like to just grep for it. So let's say I wonder about SSHD. Um, so you can see SSHD is in fact running because if it wasn't, there wouldn't be a process for it. And here you can see that the SSHD is running. The same as if we do this, we see the same things, right? Active running. And here we can see how long it's been since it actually started and was running. And you can see the command or yeah, the command of the SSHD right here. Um, Down here, you may wonder what this is. This is this is a snippet of the next tool, which is Journal CTL. So both System CTL and Journal CTL is a part of the new what's it called? The new oh, I don't remember right now, but it's the new system basically. Before you had to go into etc and logs and check the logs there. That's also something you want to do basically now and then if the system doesn't um, have its logs parsed. But most of the times all of the logs will get parsed into journal CTL, which takes all of the logs under etc logs. We can just oh, my bad, it's actually var log. Now we can see a lot of logs. All of these logs will be parsed into journal CTL. So let's take a look. And here we have a lot of log files. You can see what happens in the timestamp, date and timestamp. Let's see, we have commands that has been run. You can see what kind of commands have been run and what we have been doing in here. And let's say you want to catch something for a specific service. You will say you and tag you and say SSHD. Oh, SSD, just SSH. Okay, so here we have the same snippet, um, which we saw in um, systemctl for the same service, as you can see here, but it catches a few more lines. So this is great if you want to just check what happened in a specific time stamp. Let's say the service blipped out, or users got thrown out, or the system didn't respond, or whatnot. If you have an age, um, if you have a HTTPD service running and website, or the web service just doesn't respond and you get some error, and your customers administrator wants you to look into it, this is where you want to start and check if the server is up and running and so forth. So yeah, these are some of the tools that you should know, and techniques you should know about to troubleshoot, to get to the bottom of the issue at hand. Um, and I would urge you to learn about bash scripting, or shell scripting, because with shell or bash scripting you can use a lot of nifty shorthands or aliases, or create functions that will make your life easier. For example, process VM tools proc. If that's just a short little function I created. PP is double P is like for profile, like the bash profile. And you can see proc here is basically piece aux, grep whatever you put into this or feed it, and remove the grep for grep. So if we do piece aux grep SSHD, you also get this process which just run right now, which also is grep for SSHD, and this is basically you grepping for that, so you don't need that information. That's why I just made it easier to just say proc SSHD, and you just get the output you want. Um, so yeah, I have a lot of um, different aliases and scripts and whatnot to make my life a little bit easier. I also use this box to pen test um, on Hack the Box and Try Hack Me. So I create a lot of bash scripts to make that more automated. Another thing which is kind of cool, if you've ever seen, um, can I actually SSH to myself? If you go to IP address and say, oh, this is me, isn't it? It's... Okay, so as you can see here, this is something I created. Don't mind that. But you see a message here, which is the message of the day. And it tells me uptime and last logon. That's default. So I have been, um, I have created a message of the day that is custom. That would be this is the profile. This right here is something I have created for myself. Oh, what am I doing? Um, so if you locate message of the day, you can see you have the default here. Message of the day. I have removed this or made it so it's not to run this, but the new one is update message of the day. So if you go to etc uh, update, you have one that isn't active or doesn't run, and this is my something I created. So let's mm, update. Okay, so as you can see, this runs the script, which either it's basically a script that runs at each logon. If a new user logs on to the server, you can say uh, echo something like this and run a command at startup. So you can run different commands at startup. Would if that would be the message or actually do something when people log on to the server. So this is kind of a cool, almost like a Kix startup script, if you will, um, which starts up when anyone logs into the server. So you can display different things, patches available, last time the server was booted, who is logged on, and so on. You can display the last lines of uh, logs, and yeah, it's a lot of things you can do here. It's just your imagination that sets a limit on what you can do. So that's a cool trick to know about if you're gonna administrate some Linux servers. So there's lot of things to sorry, um, a lot of things to learn, uh, and use this video or the things we've gone through and deep dive into each tool. So let's just go back here. So we went to a bit of a length and touched upon different tools that isn't here, but it's equally good to know when you want to troubleshoot. Uh, this video was actually a little bit long, half an hour. I'm not going to be editing any of this. This will just be as is. I will probably make more videos if there is any interest. I thought it was just good to get it out there. There's a ton of videos on the same subject. But if you want me to have a stream or talk about um, how you can get a job into the IT field or my experience with it and suggestions on what to do and how to conduct an interview. Let me know in the let me know in the comment field, and I will set up new maybe live stream or video so I can interact with you guys and answer any questions. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next video. Bye.